Am I the idiot for kicking my mom's boyfriend and his kids from the house I inherited after my mom's death? I really don't know if I'm an idiot in this case. I apologize for my bad English. My male 19, parents divorced when I was 6. My mom got a boyfriend, Josh, and they started living together when I was 9. He had twin daughters, who were 4 when they moved in. Their mother was not in their lives anymore. My mom took them in as their own. I admit that I was a little jealous because they had her full time and me only 50% of the time. I think my mom loved them more too. I was a quiet kid and spent most of my time in my room when my mom had me. I didn't want any siblings. My mom tried but to no avail. By the time I was 16, I rarely spent time at my mom's place. And when I went to college I got an apartment, even though my mom lived in the same city as my college. Mom tragically passed in December. Because Josh and her never got married for some reason, I inherited everything, including her house. I allowed Josh and the kids to still live there. I paid half the bills as he is struggling because of low-paying job. My lease ends in December and I decided to move into my house after. I sat down with Josh and told him I was moving in January. Since this is my house I will take the bedroom and he will move to my old room. He started crying how the bedroom is his safe space and all my mom's things are there which gives him peace. I told him he can move a few of her things to my old room. My room is a third of the bedroom. He started crying even more that he doesn't want to abandon their bedroom. I was pretty pissed at that moment, so I told him to just get out of the house then as I don't have energy to deal with this poop. I have since cooled down, but 3 days later he sent me a message to notify me where he left the keys and that they moved out. I found out they went to a homeless shelter. I got messages from my mom's side of the family about how I am heartless and cruel to kick them out. How the twins lost mom and home in less than a year. Twins texted me how they couldn't believe their own brother made them homeless and asked me what they did wrong. My dad and his family told me I did nothing wrong. I do feel bad for them, but I still think I decide who gets what room in my house. Am I the idiot? Edit. I will call Josh today and ask him to meet. I will try to sort things through and I hope we will come to an agreement. Thank you everyone for opinions and suggestions. You're the idiot. You went from 0 to 100 way too fast. This man lost his partner. The girls lost their mom. You could have chosen tons of different paths but you made your family homeless. Your mom's boyfriend is obviously still grieving. You could have sat down with him and come to a rational conclusion. You went no contact with her because of your jealousy and now you've fallen ass backwards into a house because of a technicality. And now you have the audacity to kick your family out. Enjoy your big empty house, not the idiot. It's not a great situation for anyone, but he's been freeloading off of Opus, guilting a 19-year-old into financially supporting him, not only paying half their bills, but paying to live elsewhere so Josh could have the house. You're entitled to live in your own house, and you're especially entitled to the master bedroom. Josh tried to guilt Opus and bailed when that failed. Update. A lot has happened since my first post. We had our first mediation meeting about the lawsuit and we reached an agreement. I will have to pay a quarter of the savings my mom left me, which is a lot less than I thought. I met with Josh a day after my post. It went unexpected. I apologized for my hot-headed response. I told him I didn't really mean it and invited him back home. He told me no. He admitted that it was actually very hard for him to live there. He saw my mom everywhere he looked and it was very hard for him. He took my kicking them out as an opportunity to leave the house without his daughters resenting him. He basically made me a bad man. He apologized for that. He didn't know his daughters called my grandparents and me. When he found out, he confessed to his daughters and to my grandparents what he told me. I don't care either way about my grandparents as we have no relationship. How did he find out? My dad talked to him before me. My dad wanted to help him so he called him. He even got Josh 10 free sessions with his good friend, who is a grief therapist. And it's my dad that convinced him to talk to me. My dad is my hero and in this case the real master of puppets lol. Josh will move in temporarily to my grandparents. I talked to my dad about the money. I decided to give Josh the rest of my mom's savings. He can buy a nice apartment and still have some left over. Josh was very happy and thanked me over and over again. I did it for the peace of my mind. We probably won't have much of a relationship moving forward. For me, this is a chapter of my life that is closed. I will probably sell the house after my graduation from college. It has no sentimental meaning to me. Not the idiot. It's wonderful that everything has worked out so well. Good on you for being kind enough to forgive Josh and to give him the money to set himself and his daughters up with a new home. I'm so glad that Josh was able to admit what he did and that he didn't just admit it to you, but to his daughters and your family. I wish you all the best for the future, not the idiot. Wow, I'm surprised at the complete 180 from your last post. It sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders and your dad is pretty amazing. Good for all of you. Everyone came out and told the truth and made up. It's a happily ever after. Would you have kicked Josh and his kids out? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not giving my sister money to help with her second kid? Alright, this might sound like a horrible thing from the title, but please hear me out. This is a hard topic for me, and English isn't my native language, so I apologize in advance. I am an 18-year-old man, and my sister is 22. Ever since we were young, she was always the priority for my parents. Don't get me wrong, they never treated me badly. But she was obviously the one they put more effort in. She would get better clothes, a better room, an allowance and other things. While I was never treated badly, things were as good for me. I was never given any pocket money by my parents. Thus, I started to work really early, 14, as I've learned a few skills in programming and had a good portfolio by then. GitHub, so it was easier for me to get freelancing jobs. In my country, there's some banks that allow underage people to open accounts, but they are still under the supervision of their parents. Since I started to work, I have become somewhat of an introvert. But that's not the point. Most of my adolescence I spent working on projects. Everything I got I used to help out with bills at my house and save the rest on my account. The reason I did that was because it is my dream to go to a specific university. It's my dream school as they have an extremely respected course in programming, and while college itself is free in my country, living isn't, and that school is in one of the most expensive cities in my country. Now, I'm finally 18 and we're in the middle of the entrance exams. I already passed the first test with flying marks and I believe the next one shouldn't be a problem as well. However, since I turned 18, I'm no longer suitable for the same kind of bank account I had, which is only for underage, and needed to change. My mother and I went to the bank to change the account, and during that time she saw the amount I had saved. I won't put numbers, but it's enough for me to live without working for the duration of the course. Though it won't be a frugal life. That day during dinner, she and my father started to talk about what I want to do in the future, and I explained to them. However, after a few moments, they stopped me in my tracks. They said that while it was all good that I had an objective, right now, my sister was in financial trouble, as she just had her second kid, and her husband and her could really use some help. My mother asked me to give my sister my savings and I was really shocked. I told her how much I worked for that, and that it was my money, and I didn't want to give it to my sister, as that meant not going to my dream college, since my parents couldn't support me living there. My father said, well, you're still young and you can always earn more money. Your sister needs it. We argued more and I went to my room. However, I'm being constantly harassed and called an idiot by my family. There's so much of this that I can't help but feel like I'm a horrible person. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If your sister is old enough to have 2 children and a husband, she's old enough to get her finances in line. Not to mention, it's your money, you earned it, and nobody should be forcing you to do anything you don't want to do with it. The fact that they took one look at your bank account and said, this should all go to our daughter really does not sit right with me. Update. First, thank you to all who told me to change accounts in banks. While that account was already under my name alone, I took the extra step of changing banks. Now, about the whole problem with my family. After I read the replies on the post, I knew I wasn't in the wrong and decided to confront my parents on that. I told them I was not going to give up my dream, especially since I worked so hard to achieve it. That escalated our conflict, especially after they found out I changed banks. It all culminated with my parents kicking me out of their house. I expected them to be angry, but I never expected that overreaction. Regardless, I can't really cry over spilt milk. I managed to find a friend who allowed me to stay at his house for a few days, and that's the reason I haven't updated this sooner. I stayed for a few days and decided it was time for me to move to the city in which I hope to attend college. Now, I found an apartment and I have already moved cities. I will need to find work for now, as currently, I don't have a roommate as I was hoping to find one once college started. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea what I am doing right now, but that's something I'll have to learn. I changed all my documents and especially the place I'll be taking the second stage of the entrance exam. So all I can do now is wait and see what the future has in store for me. For those who asked about my sister, I contacted her after I was kicked out and explained to her the situation. She was mortified and told me that she never once asked our parents for help or money. She said she was indeed tight on money, but nothing she and her husband couldn't handle and she would never accept my money. Just to make sure, I have absolutely no resentment towards my sister. While we did grow apart once she got married, she still is my sister. I believe she didn't really have anything to do with my parents' behavior and I'm very thankful for that. I absolutely adore my niece, and I'm looking forward to meeting my nephew one of these days. Anyway, my parents still very much think I'm an idiot and an ungrateful child, still sending messages and stuff like that. I'm just ignoring it for now, but I can't say it doesn't hurt to see my own parents say stuff like that. Well, anyway, I just want to thank you all once more for everything. Stay safe everyone. You're the idiot. It is a cruel world and your parents were only looking out for you. Your sister needed help and you rubbed your success and good fortune in her face. Your parents could clearly see how gifted you were and that's why they said you'll earn more money later. Hope everyone on Reddit jerked you just enough for you to feel good about your cowardly actions. Not the idiot. This seems much less about your sister and far more about controlling you by keeping you poor. Let me guess, they wanted you to give them the money and they'd pass it on to your sister. Either planning to take credit or she wouldn't see all of it. I could just be assigning them extra outrates. Not that they need it, but doing this without your sister's knowledge is creepy as frick. Block your parents. Don't read their messages. They kicked you out. They forfeited their right to any info about your life. Send letters back unopened. Should he have given his sister the money? Let me know in the comments. Now, would I be an idiot if I asked my ex to pay me back the money she owes me now that we've broken up? So last month my ex, who I've been dating for nearly a year, broke up with me. It was a complete blindside. I thought everything was great and we were talking about getting an apartment together next year. Then we went to a party where she saw her most recent ex. A few days later she told me that he talked to her that night and said he realized how bad he fricked up when he saw her with another guy, me. He's now ready to give up his vices for her, and she's sorry but she still loves him enough to want to give their relationship another try. I was shocked and hurt as hell, but what can I do? I can't force her to stay. I was miserable for weeks, but now I just want to settle things and move on. And one of the things that need to be settled is the $4,000 that she owes me. We never talked about how or when she would pay me. Back then all I thought of was that she was my girlfriend. She needed money for a valid reason, and I had money to spare. I wanted to take care of her problem because I wanted to take care of her. I told her to pay me when she had money, and she has been paying me a couple $100s every now and then. I was fine with that because she was my girlfriend, but it's not something that I would do for everyone. Now that we're no longer together, I've been thinking about asking her to pay me the $4,000 by the end of the year. I know it sounds petty, but honestly now that she's no longer with me and given the circumstances of our breakup, I don't feel as inclined to be lenient to her with my money as I did before. I also want a clean break so I can totally move on from all of this. I don't like the idea that I'll still have some sort of communication or connection to her for the next few years if it takes that long for her to pay me. I'm willing to listen and ready for your judgment. You're the idiot. You're totally entitled to want your money back, but giving her less than a month to come up for $4,000 is obviously unrealistic. Talk to her about paying you back with regular payments, maybe every month, and hopefully she'll set up a direct debit or something and you won't have to interact with her at all after that first conversation. Asking for it all this month is almost certainly going to get you nowhere if she doesn't just have it spare sitting around. Update. The general consensus was that I wouldn't be an idiot to ask my ex to pay me back as long as I asked nicely, but I was an idiot for lending her money and expecting that she would pay me back $4,000 at 3 weeks notice. So I went ahead and called her and nicely asked if she could pay me back at the end of December because I just want a clean break so we can all move on. She said she understood and she'll see what she can do. I later learned that she sold her car to her boyfriend, who let her continue using the car. In short, I got paid and she kept the car she sold to pay me. Great ending for everyone. But then a few weeks later she called me saying she wanted to talk. She and her boyfriend went to my apartment and told me the craziest thing: she's pregnant. And with that, I have accepted the fact that I will never get the clean break I wanted. It's been 3 months since then. We did the paternity test and confirmed that I'm the father. She and her boyfriend are still together, and he is in counseling as a sign of his commitment to her. The main reason she left him before was that he had an alcohol problem that he couldn't control, so I was concerned that she was staying with him while pregnant. He assured me that he's turned over a new leaf for her and he will stay with her through this. She says that things are great between them and he is completely sober now. We all try to get along as best as we can for the baby. When I made that post, I never imagined that this would be the update I would be writing. I never even thought that this would be how I have my first kid. But what's done is done, and at least we're on the same page about prioritizing the baby. Thanks for all the replies to my original post and wish me luck. Not the idiot. I don't know whether to congratulate you or feel bad for you. On one hand, you are a father. You just created a new life, and it might be a good thing in the long term, creating a bond with your child and becoming, hopefully, a good and proud father. On the other hand, however, it means that you won't be able to move on from her, and you'll have to live with the fact she's no longer with you, and you won't be able to leave her behind because of that child. Not the idiot. Just throwing it out there that you should plan for the worst and hope for the best. Start putting lawyer money aside in case this guy relapses. Babies do not fix addiction. This guy will relapse because relapses are a part of normal recovery. Lawyers are expensive and so are kids. If things go well, then great. You got an emergency savings.